When I first learned it, it was in secondary school. So in secondary school, if you do art in Malaysia, you must learn one of the heritage crafts. So batik was one of the things that I've learned, and it was really, really difficult. It was, it's such a difficult craft to learn that I kind of forgot about it. And then I went on and do architecture as a degree. I work as an architect, and during that time, I worked with a few batik artisans in Indonesia to commission some batik pieces. I find that it's the resilience they have in making the work. Batik is done in such a difficult condition, and a lot of them are women artisans who they are doing this so they could get additional cash, additional monies to help with their families. I asked them why they're doing this, and they do it because they love it and they want to continue the craft. And they say, if we don't do it, eventually nobody will do it, the craft will just die away. So when I moved here, I knew I wanted to share in this way. Hi, I'm Shirlyn. I'm a batik artist based in Birmingham. I've moved to the UK 3 years ago. I started making batik because I was really inspired by the batik artisans in Indonesia and Malaysia. The batik that I make are sort of wanting to reinvent traditional batik in a more modern light, and hopefully that would inspire people to take on batik as a craft, as a hobby. When I first started, I only did batik on textile, and then I went back to Indonesia again, and during that time I went to learn to do batik on mahogany wood, sharing batik in a different light, basically in homewares. This is kind of my way of expanding my practice. I like to use my work to experiment. So, for example, the lamp. So when I did the batik, I always felt like, oh, it's so pretty when it's under the light. So I started making. I was like, oh, how nice it is to be using it as a lamp. So actually, I made that lamp, and it's my bedside table, and it's really, really nice. Yeah. So in terms of history of batik is a very, very, very old craft from invented in Indonesia about 2,000 years ago. It was invented. They wanted to make motifs and symbols on textile to create clothes for them to do religious ceremonies. So, for example, a traditional batik from Indonesia, I'm just going to show you, will have symbols, motif that meant symbolize a specific ceremonies that they have. So, for example, if you could see this fabric here that has a shape of looks like a knife, that is probably something that would use for a ceremonies that where they would pray for the safe return of warriors. You would see also shape of a cloud or shape of a paddy field. Those are small little symbols where farmers will wear it when they want to pray for a good harvest. This is a Malaysian batik where you would see a lot of the florals, flower patterns, and also they tend to be more colorful and more vibrant. A lot of countries has adopted also incorporating their own culture, incorporating their own tools. So for example, in South Africa, when they do batik, they don't use the chanting. They use they dip sponge, sharpened sponge in wax, and then they would draw with it. In some cases, in China, they would do indigo dyeing, indigo batik, where they would use a tool similar to this, but it's not a bowl and a spout condition. It's like a shape of a fan knife, where you could dip the knife in the wax and then you would draw with it. But the idea is the same. They will use the wax to resist the dye. I make my own wax, which I believe a lot of batik artists do. I needed a wax that is very fluid, that is, because I work with, as you can see, a lot of my batik work is very delicate and very intricate as well. So I do work with very thin lines. I love the painting side of batik because of the way the color flows. It looks as if it has its own mind of its own. And then when it hits the wax, it's a stop. It really always constantly reminds me that you can't control everything, but you need to work with your situation. You need to make the best out of what you have, and which is what batik is, because you can't control the wax, but you need to work with the wax, and then you need to work the best that you can with the way the wax flow. It's been ingrained in our everyday life that, batik is just one of the things that we have in our life, but we never really actually go behind the scene, because batik in Malaysia is all hand drawn, and a lot of batik artisans, they are master craftsmen that they don't even trace the design. They would just freehand design onto the fabric. I think that takes a lot of skills and a lot of years of practice in order to be able to produce work like that. Yeah.